Do you know what I see a lot of? I see a lot of people who are very busy doing a lot of work and it's not really meaningful work. Have you seen that before? Maybe you see it in your own organization or other organizations you've worked at. That is a huge problem because we've got these things called computers. Let's let the computer do all the boring work. That's the whole goal of AI right now, is to take away the boring work from the humans and let the computer do the boring stuff. We'll just do the creative stuff and the strategic piece of the work. Today, we're going to talk about back office applications and how we can get that in a place where your team is not busy doing busy work, but they're busy doing meaningful work. They're effective. Efficiency is great, but efficiency in the wrong area is not effective. So let's talk a little bit about back office applications. What is that? A back office application is anything where you help your customer go through the customer journey. Sometimes that's cyclical. Sometimes that's a one and done, and then they'll come back later, buy another product or service. So that whole process, the work that your team has to do to service the customer and help them through that journey, that's anything that could be taken a look at and see if we can fix things and try to streamline operations. My name is Matt, and I'm a CTO. I have 25 years of experience, and I have built my career on helping companies do more with less and saving them money and time. Since time is money, it's all the same. I love taking a process that is broken and manual and streamlining it, making it more effective and more efficient, and helping the employees gain their time back and gain their life back and have a much better work experience. Okay, so we're going to keep this at the non-technical level. We're going to speak English, not geek speak. I know everyone likes that, although my engineer brain does like geek speak every once in a while. So why does back office efficiency matter? The impact of bottlenecks and hidden costs, it's slow to grow. You can't grow if you're focused on operations. Think about it this way. Think about a kitchen and in a restaurant. If you want to increase the dining room size, you got to make a bigger kitchen. You can't have it go from 5 tables to 100 tables and use that 5 table size kitchen. With AI and automation, you can still might need to increase the kitchen size a little bit, but you still have to increase it. You have to increase the throughput. You can't always do the same task with more volume with the exact same system in place. Sometimes you can, but most of the time you can't. And that sometimes is already after you've improved things quite substantially. So once things are all automated, then you can scale a little bit better. But still, there's always times when you have to increase the size of the kitchen. Here's a question you should ask yourself. Where are your team members spending every month that isn't driving revenue or the customer experience? Think about that. Try to identify those areas, and that is where you start. So that brings us to the second tip of identifying your biggest time wasters. If you've ever read Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time, it's a great one. Highly recommend it. He talks about doing an energy audit, not a time audit. So I think that's very valuable because the time we spend on non-valuable and energy draining tasks, that's what we want to focus on. So do a little audit, have your staff take a little bit of time for maybe a few days or a week and figure out where are they spending time that is not providing value. What are your biggest time wasters? Some common things are, like invoicing and payroll and things like that. I worked with an insurance company and their claims entry system took 15 to 20 minutes to file a claim. And that was a manual process. The claimant or the insured was on the phone with the customer service rep. And at that point, they were both tied into a 20-minute conversation. So that was a huge area to focus on. So what is that for you? Okay, so the next step is to look for automation areas or integration areas, something like that. Where can we take that manual task and make a computer do it? There are lots of tools out there. There's UiPath and Automation Anywhere. Those now implement AI. There's NAN. That's another good tool. That's more engineering. The 3 of those are pretty engineering level tools. There are also things like Zapier where you can just create a little plugin that will listen to something and then create a workflow and take action. So along the lines of that insurance company, what we did is we wrote a custom app. Since they already had a custom app, we rewrote it, and their 20 minutes went down to about 15 to 30 seconds, and that was a huge time savings for them. Okay, the next part is integration. System integration sounds really boring, and it is, but the boring stuff is what can help you buy back your time. So think of silos. We have data over here, we have information over there. They don't talk to each other. If you want information from both places and you need to consolidate that into a report, someone has to get it over here, get it over there, create a report. That's where a system could come into place to automate that, so that you can have a report in your inbox, or you go to a dashboard or wherever, and you can have that all in one place. Back to that insurance company, what we did there is we integrated with a few different systems. We integrated with their document management system, their workflow system, and their claims management system. So when a claim was entered, they click submit. It was a complex process that did a lot. It also created documents and sent emails to the insured. And it created those documents, put it in the document management system, kicked off a workflow, created an event in their claims management system, and then the claims team could then work the claim at that point. So their 15 to 20 minutes was actually more like an hour, because they would have had to do all that manually. And then it went down to like 30 seconds. Another point to keep in mind is security and compliance. Security is important. It's an interesting topic, because when you automate something, people don't automatically go to security. But we want to make sure that the authorized people can access that automation. We want to make sure that the tools that you use don't expose any personal data that they shouldn't. If anything is stored that is personal, that needs to be protected. So keep that in mind as you go through your automation process. If you need help, book a call with me. I've got a link in the description. I'd love to see how I could help you with that. Okay, how do we measure success? First, you need to know where you are, and then you need to implement whatever you decide to build, and then take that snapshot again and see what's improved. You should know beforehand what areas to focus on, what measurements to take. And once you have that, then you can do it before and after, and you can see the percentage of increase. Most organizations see a reduction of time anywhere between like 25 and 60%. In the insurance company case, that was more like 80%. That was a tremendous savings for them. So get your data points before you do your implementation, and then after, take that same snapshot and see where you are. Okay, so how do you get started with this? Well, we talked about the quick wins, right? How do you identify where you're wasting your time? That's step one. And then once you have that, then tackle one at a time. Don't tackle the whole thing. Just take one little piece and say, all right, this is what we're going to focus on. Start with the biggest bottleneck that will give you the quickest win, that will give you the best peace of mind. And then involve the team. You need ownership from the people actually doing the work. There will be some pushback sometimes because something different. I've always clicked here and then over there and then click submit and then whatever. So when you change the process, the people actually doing the work get frustrated. That's understandable. So work with them, see how it's going after you implement your first little change, and figure out what to work on next. I hope you found this video valuable. I love automation. I love system integration. I love helping people do more with less. If you need help with that or want to pick my brain, there's a link in the description. Feel free to book a call with me. I'd love to chat tech and see how we can help each other out. And as always, like the video, subscribe, share, and I'll catch you again next time.